Fox News alert, we just got a peek inside Obama's black book, and it turns out Barack knew the Russia hoax was a hoax all along, but pushed it anyway to sabotage the Trump presidency. DNI Tulsi Gabbard declassifying pages and pages of documents, showing Obama's intel guys briefed him just weeks after the 2016 election that the Russians didn't actually sway the election. Quote, we assessed that Russian and criminal actors did not impact the recent U.S. election results. Criminal activity also failed to reach the scale and sophistication necessary to change election outcomes. But Obama just couldn't accept that. So he and his staff instructed intel agencies to cook up new reports to support Russia collusion. Quote, after the meetings, Clapper's executive assistant emailed intelligence community leaders, tasking them to create a new intelligence community assessment per the president's request that detailed the tools Moscow used and actions it took to influence the 2016 election. Tulsi Gabbard described what she found as a conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people. And she says the people involved should be prosecuted and has made a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. We knew Hillary.
Wow, what's up, guys? Holy smokes. All right, things are heating up. If you thought it was getting boring, if you were worried about the Epstein stuff, Trump has gone all out. The other night I talked about how it was clear Trump was showing us that this was a rug pull, that Trump had sucked him in. He waited for that Wall Street Journal story to drop, that fake, obviously made up story about him and Epstein, that stupid little letter that we laughed about because it was so ridiculous. He showed that was what they were waiting for, to drop the hammer. And then he went all out and said, I am opening up the files. And he asked Pam Bondi to open it up. They're going after the grand jury testimony, all the information from the grand jury files, and then also investigating further, going out. I mean, it was just bombshell after bombshell. Exciting stuff. And then the next night, we get this. Tulsi Gabbard drops one of the biggest bombs we've ever seen, honestly, in regards to our government and government corruption. This basically, well, I'll hold on a second. Let me read what she drops first, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So Tulsi Gabbard last night drops this. Americans will finally learn the truth about how in 2016, intelligence was politicized and weaponized by the most powerful people in the Obama administration to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Donald Trump, subverting the will of the American people and undermining our democratic republic. Here's how. And she gives this graphic that they put together. But the main point is they're declassifying these documents. She continues. For months preceding the 2016 election, the intelligence community shared a consensus view. Russia lacked the intent and capability to hack U.S. elections, but weeks after Trump's historic 2016 victory defeating Hillary Clinton, everything changed. And you see some of the DHS official to Clapper, what they wrote here. We are working with CIA on a PDB submission on the thrust of analysis. There is no indication of a Russian threat to directly manipulate the actual vote count. September 9th, we agree with Russia probably is not and will not try to influence the election. And then on December 7th, it all changed. We assessed foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on election infrastructure. No evidence of cyber manipulation. So how did they run this hoax for so long? On December 8th, 2016, IC intelligence officials prepared an assessment for the president's daily brief, finding Russia did not impact the elections. Before it could reach the president, it was abruptly pulled based on new guidance, not new information, guidance. There's the post there. The next day, top national security officials, including Director James Comey, John Brennan, and James Clapper, gathered at the Obama White House to discuss Russia. Obama directed the intelligence agencies to create a new intelligence assessment that detailed Russian election meddling. Obama directed them to plant false evidence. This is treason. Even though it would contradict multiple intelligence assessments released over the previous several months, here it is. Whew. December 9th, the IC is prepared to produce an assessment per the president's request. Obama officials immediately leaned on their allies in the media to advance their falsehoods. Anonymous IC sources leaked classified information to the Washington Post and others that Russia had intervened to hack the election in Trump's favor. They leaked this, and the media spit it out. On January 6, 2017, just days before President Trump took office, DNI Clapper unveiled the Obama-directed politicized assessment, a gross weaponization of intelligence that laid the groundwork for a years-long coup intended to subvert Trump's entire presidency. According to whistleblower emails shared with us today, we know Clapper and Brennan used the baseless, discredited Steele dossier as a source to push this false narrative in the intelligence assessment. And here it says September 18, 2019, Shelby believes it should be responded to by the NIC as the dossier was a factor in the 2017 IC on the election interference, which assessment of the document was added as an annex. Whew. Wow. These documents detail a treasonous conspiracy by officials at the highest levels of the Obama White House to subvert the will of the American people and try to usurp President from fulfilling his mandate. This betrayal concerns every American. The integrity of our democratic republic demands every person involved be investigated and brought to justice to prevent this from ever happening again. I'm providing all documents to the Department of Justice to deliver the accountability that President Trump, his family, and the American people deserve. Holy smokes, guys. Holy smokes. This is massive. This is absolutely massive. Look, we've been talking a lot about Epstein. That's been the word around. Epstein. That's everything right now. But this is a way bigger deal than Epstein. A way bigger deal. I know Epstein's more salacious. I know it's more interesting in some ways. But this, my friends, is a United States president, a two-term president, the Democrat savior, the most popular man of the 2010s, in America at least, as far as a leader is concerned. The guy they all look to as the great one, the Manchurian candidate, the perfect politician, committed treason. I mean, it's right there. Now, how far this goes is going to be a big question, because this kind of thing, if they handle it wrong, it'll split the country, and worse than it is now. And I know many people are thinking, who cares? And I kind of lean that way myself. But I got to tell you, it's going to be very interesting how this plays out. They already announced investigating Brennan and Comey. I wonder if Clapper will be a part of that. But this is a direct tie to Obama. That, my friends, is absolutely massive. This is one of the biggest stories in U.S. history. A president, a sitting president, literally planting evidence and pushing it out to the media to subvert our democracy, to subvert the elected leader of the people who had just won an election so obvious that they couldn't fight it at all. So overwhelming the win. This, my friends, is one of the biggest stories of all time. There's no other way to frame it. I mean, it might not feel that way to you, but this is huge. Matt Taibbi says, thanks to explosive new document releases, Russiagate hoax is now exposed, commencing a new era about accountability for the guilty. That's what we're praying for. It says the new documents released by Tulsi Gabbard leave no doubt, none. Matt Taibbi used to write for the Rolling Stones, by the way. He is not some hardcore MAGA right-wing guy. He's just a center lefty who is all about exposing government, who got pushed out when exposing that government meant exposing Obama. So Rolling Stone pushed him out, and now he's independent. He's a great reporter. leaves no doubt, none, that the Barack Obama White House invented a phony espionage scandal to hang on the incoming Trump administration. Sole question is why? What idiot thought this would work? That was a good idea. That idiot, whoever it was, this was an all-in move. This is all in. We are beating Trump or bust. And it didn't work. It didn't work. And now they're going to get busted for it. If they pursued this fully, this could end with President Obama in chains for the rest of his life. Treason is no joke. Yes, some are saying execution. There's no way we would ever pursue execution of a previous president, especially not one who is still popular with, say, 30 to 40% of the country. You got to be very careful about stuff like that, honestly. Trump is already, he's been towing it beautifully, but we're already an incensed country, and you got to try to unite. But justice still has to happen. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this goes. If nothing else, this will, and I believe Trump, no matter what, even if Obama doesn't end up in chains, I believe Comey and Brennan will. And what Obama will happen to him is his entire legacy, his entire place in history books, his identity to the people will be completely destroyed going forward. And that, in some ways, is even better than being in chains. Because the history books, right now, the people are going to say, put him, lock him up. We hate Obama. I get it. But the truth is, the bigger attack, the bigger punishment is losing your place in history, being known as a villain for the rest of history. And that, my friends, is at this point a guarantee. It's a guarantee. And that is huge. Here's a little clip I wanted to share of Michael Schellenberg on this. He's got great stuff as well, interviewed by Jesse Waters. Whoopsies, wrong one.
This is another instance where you see the Democrats having projected what they were doing onto Donald Trump. The Obama administration was undermining public confidence in the elections, deliberately undermining confidence in the elections, and then accusing the Trump campaign of doing the very same thing. They knew that they didn't have the actual intel or any evidence to actually bring any charges against Trump because, of course, he didn't do any of the things they were accusing him of, but they were constantly leaking to the news media. And that was one of the things that we saw revealed today in these new documents, is that they were using the intelligence community essentially as a public relations arm. This is another instance where you see
crazy. I hope you guys can understand just what a massive deal this is. It's going to change everything going forward. I mean, we just proved Obama was a treason. We all kind of knew it. If you're in the MAGA side of things, if you've been following all this with Trump, we all knew the Russia hoax was BS. We knew Hillary, the emails, like what they were trying to set Trump up with was all nonsense. All of it. They were always putting stuff on him that wasn't there. He's been proven right time and time and time again. But for the first time, this is reaching the mainstream. Several people who have been following this a long time, we knew we'd put the pieces together, but now we have this. I mean, I just cannot, I cannot stress what a big deal this is. Here's Stephen Miller from the Trump administration. A seditious conspiracy to overthrow the government and democracy of the United States. There's almost nothing the deep state will not do to perpetuate its power over the people. And Tulsi Gabbard added this. Their goal was to usurp President Trump and subvert the will of the American people, no matter how powerful. Every person involved in this conspiracy must be investigated and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The integrity of our democratic republic depends on this. We're turning over all documents to DOJ for criminal referral. Guys, do you know what she just called for? Full extent of the law. That's Obama she's talking about. She was co-chair of the DNC under Obama. So Tulsi Gabbard, former Democrat, became Republican after she endorsed Trump, came over because she's a good person. She actually has morals and ethics, came to the MAGA side of things, And now she's calling for full extent of justice for her former boss. I mean, there's nobody better to deliver this than Tulsi Gabbard. No one, because she was one of them. She was on that side, that team. And now she's saying, I came over, I woke up, I saw what you guys are doing, and it will not stand on my watch. I am taking you guys down. This is incredible. Mike Flynn writes this is surreal. Here in America, the Director of National Intelligence, Gabbard, is now stating emphatically a former president of the U.S., Barack Obama, attempted a coup against Donald Trump. This is why Gabbard was attacked so relentlessly over the past few weeks and months. They knew if there were anyone with the guts to investigate it, it would be her. Well done. More to come. Checkmate. And there's the official documents released by her office. Kaneko the Great shares this. DNI Gabbard calls for the prosecution of Barack Obama, James Comey, John Brennan, and James Clapper for fabricating intelligence behind the Russia collusion hoax. She dropped a trove of documents, handed them over to the DAJ for criminal referral. And then today she's on Fox, doubling down with
that doesn't just affect Democrats or Republicans. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. That doesn't just affect Democrats or Republicans. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue.
My computer does not apparently want to play this clip. There we go.
That doesn't just affect Democrats or Republicans. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue with such significant impact that it should concern every American because it has to do with the fabric and integrity of our democratic republic. That we had a situation here where in the months leading up to the 2016 election, the intelligence community assessed, and this is what the documents detail, the intelligence community assessed essentially Russia doesn't have the tools, the capability, or the intent to try to change the outcome of the U.S. presidential election. Donald Trump pulls off a historic victory against Hillary Clinton in November of 2016. Even in the days after that election, the intelligence community continued their consistent assessment that reflected the same thing in the months leading up to the election. All of a sudden, in the early days of December, there was a president's daily brief that was drafted. This is put together by the different elements of the intelligence community that reflected that same assessment. Russia did not try to hack the election, in essence. That PDB, that document, was pulled hours before it was supposed to be published for the president to see that following morning. That document was never published until we released it yesterday. One day later, President Obama calls a meeting of his National Security Council, his top officials, to be held on what they called a sensitive topic. And the results of that meeting, which we released yesterday, and these over 100 documents that talk about in detail how President Obama and his team, he directed a manufactured piece of intelligence that detailed not if, but how Russia tried to influence the outcome.
My goodness. So insane that they can actually directly implicate Obama.
That doesn't just affect
guys, what this means going forward. I mean, it just changes everything. You guys have been screaming at me, a lot of you, not all of you, that we're not getting our arrests. We're not getting... some people are crazy enough to say Trump's not doing anything. I'm like, what? Are you watching? Are you paying any attention? You're watching my show? That's definitely not the case. This more happened this last 6 months than any president in my lifetime in most of history. To say that, I mean, this takes time to build this stuff up. And the fact that they're acting on it in 6 months, bring it out, I guarantee you this was planned. I guarantee it. They did this knowing as soon as it was ready, they would release it and then it would move fast. They're not going to release this and then just take 6 months to a year, 2 years to figure this out. No, they have everything ready now. I can almost guarantee it. Just wait. Things are going to move fast. And it makes me think that the timing of the Epstein stuff was very suspect. Remember that memo was released without signature and without a date? Leaked to Axios, which is not very Trump friendly. It makes me wonder if that memo and the Trump administration had to cover by saying like, hey, yeah, we signed off on it. But it makes me wonder if it was leaked to get ahead of this, to try to take Trump down before they release this information. And I think the Epstein stuff is going to be all tied in, because we're going to see our intelligence agencies taken down because of this, or at least completely remade because of this. The American people, already not trusting, are going to lose way more trust because of this. The boomers, sorry, boomers, I love you guys. The older people watching Fox News, and that's just a fact. 65 and older watch Fox News, not much else. Everybody else watches the internet now. But the older people watching, they voted for Trump because they were mostly conservative, whatever, traditional Republicans. But they haven't been watching this stuff. They haven't been paying attention to this. They just got the bomb dropped on them. Many of them had no idea how corrupt Obama actually was. They thought politics were just going on as usual and people were just acting a little crazy. No, we're finding out all the conspiracy theories, almost all of them, are true. And it is getting wilder by the minute. Here's Jack Posobiec sharing, been taking calls from current and former intel officers all night. They are furious. The Gabbard file shows the biggest intel scandal in modern history. Lives were destroyed by this. Wars were started. Doors should be kicked in, one said. And then, just for funsies, here's a Q Delta, which means exactly 5 years ago on the same date. Q posted, it's time for people to go to jail. I've told you guys 100 times, wherever you stand on the Q stuff, I've researched it extensively. At worst, it's the most crazy coincidence of all time. At best, it's all true, the Q stuff, because you can't put this kind of thing you just can't time this. And this happens all the time, these crazy deltas. And then Trump's out there, he's out there saying this.
Focus. I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. Big difference.
I was the hunted, now I'm the hunter. Guys, things are ramping up quick. We got through the summer. I told you guys, so many people were saying, where's the arrests? Where's the investigations? Blah, blah, blah. I kept telling you, wait. I think once the one big beautiful bill passes, that's when things will ramp up, because he needs Congress right now. Once he doesn't need Congress on his agenda anymore, don't get me wrong, he needs Congress for some stuff now, but that was the big one. That was the tough one to get through. Once that's done, things are going to ramp up. And what happened? It's been 2 weeks. Things are ramping up exponentially. In the next few weeks, I expect to see more disclosure on Epstein. We're going to find out all the salacious stuff. It's probably not what we want or hope, but we're going to get more information. But this is the big one, guys. Taking down the Obama administration. This will destroy the Democratic Party, which is already on life support. This will destroy them going forward for much, much longer. And this is going to wake up a whole lot more Americans. Trump is on it. This is the greatest president of my lifetime and the most exciting political time of my lifetime. We're living through history, guys. This is fascinating. So buckle up, get ready. It's getting fun. Have a great day, guys. I will see you live Sunday night. Take care.